News Media, America's News, and much more.
Welcome back to Alexandra on Air. The revolutions this year are greater than ever here in Vienna. People are complaining about food as a result of poor harvest. Our potatoes are stricken with a plaguing fungus, and the collections of wheat are reaching dangerous lows. The industrialization has brought our continent immense wealth, yet problems have arisen in which the incompetent middle and working class have felt an urge to strive for independence. Middle class is in search of equality in government as they feel the need to have a voice in politics. Our workers feel entitled to even more compensation, pressing factory owners for improved working conditions, living accommodations, and nutriment. The Congress of Vienna aimed to restore as many of the old monarchies as possible. With flawless execution, the Congress essentially undid all of Napoleon's conquering, restoring France to its former territorial extent of 1790, while also redistributing the land to the deserving countries of Austria, Prussia, Russia, and Britain. These long-standing, honorable monarchies have been restored, bringing back our beloved conservatism. We need to have a social hierarchy. We need to have power in one person's hand. The Congress of Vienna has rightfully restored conservatism in which international equilibrium has been established. I have a special woman here with me today.
I'm Sarah. Let's see what else is on.
From CNN International, this is World News.
Welcome to Ask Us Guide. And we are back with the revolutions this year. As we've all been aware by now, the conditions here only seem to be worsening with the poor harvest and dangerous labor work. Through certain things such as industrialization have brought more wealth into our nation, our hardworking and dedicated middle class are striving for independence from our monarchy. The conservatives of this nation seem to not be pleased with the way that changes seem to be progressing here in Vienna. But to that I say, change is inevitable, so either get behind it or you're going to be left behind it. The rise of our open-minded, equality, liberal beliefs will not have us silenced by the monarchy. The people of Vienna are only human, and to suggest otherwise by giving our workers little compensation, bad working conditions, and little to no nutritious and living accommodations just demonstrates how the monarchy sees us as nothing more than a means to make our changing country wealthier by the hour. Due to the revolution occurring here, continuing with little to no communication with our neighboring rebelling cities such as Budapest and Prague, the Austrian military has no issue with invading these locations and shutting down the revolts. This caused a big part of the revolutions we worked so hard for to crumble, sending Austrian towns back under the control of the monarchy once again. Though on the bright side, we inspired other nations to do the same. Take France as an example. They started a revolution, and we are on the edge of our seats to see how it will end. On a darker note, by the end of our revolts, Austria's outlooks appeared to be unsuccessful, and our only choice seems to return to how things were: poor living conditions and nutrition conditions, little compensation, and food shortages. I choose to believe that the silver lining in all of this is due to these revolutions Austria had abolished serfdom and elimination of censorship. Moving on to today's story, peasant woman Anna Maria Gruber is here as a key witness on the violence that is happening in the Vienna square that seems to be continuously progressing. After canvassing the town, we have the most pressing questions that the masses want answers to. Miss Gruber, how's it going on down there?
Well, people here are fine in Vienna, but it's not just here. Fellow liberals are trying to fight in Europe, like Italy, Germany, and France. I'm here protesting in the Vienna square, but my sister's cousin in Sicily fighting about the monarchy.
I understand that you have certain goals and impacts you want to see happen due to these revolts. How attainable are the goals of the revolution? What are they?
We just want equality. We are sick of this monarchy. We want a democracy. We want say. We want wealth. We want growth. Better conditions. Working in disgusting places. Places we could die. Full of death. Reeking of death. Making us close to death. We don't want this. Working for the wealthy makes them more wealthy. We don't want these social and political places. Without supportive allies and the military being against us, I don't know how long we can hold this up. Our food is already dying. We're close to losing money and stay a little longer with each strike against worse. It's making us mad. We want losing our goal with all this repression. We are still out here fighting up a storm, because maybe one day we can make a change for us, a unified state of equals.
Thank you, Miss Gruber. As you can see, the people of our great city have finally come to their senses and decided to ask for what's right for us. The Empire has tried too long to have us believe they have our best interests at heart, but now is when we finally show them what we think of their dangerous rules and inhumane exploitation of us citizens. Due to the revolution in Vienna continuing with little to no communication with the neighboring rebelling cities such as Budapest and Prague, the Austrian military had no issue with invading these locations and shutting down the revolts. This caused a big part of the revolution to crumble, sending Austrian towns back under the control of the monarchy. Though inspiring other nations to do the same, such as France, by the end of the revolution, Austria's outlooks appeared to be unsuccessful, and their only choice seems to be return to how things were: poor living conditions, poor nutrition conditions, little compensation, and food shortages. Due to all of this, Austria has abolished serfdom and eliminated the cancellation of censorship.
Liberals. Please let there be Fox.
Are you sick of getting ink stuck on your hands? Are you tired of handwriting everything? Well, it's time for you to buy a typewriter, the efficient way to write. Easily get your message across and spread your word and your propaganda. Indispensable to it, inseparable from it.
I have a special woman here with me today to answer the pressing questions the masses have in regards to feelings of discontent on what the liberals are doing to our Europe. Hello, woman. Why do you feel these liberals are so corrupt?
So I'd say with the emergence of socialism and liberalism, those in poverty have begun to see things differently and seek out equality and reform. I think that rather than corrupt, I'd really just describe them as enlightened and simply seeking a better way of life. The real goal of this liberalism is equal rights for the individual person and collective good. People don't act this way out of nothing, right? So from their perspective, why should the higher class get so much more than us? What makes them so much better than us? What we really need is a new government, a democracy, and a constitution to clearly list our rights. Of course, I'm grateful not to have been born into a higher class family, but we also need reform for everybody else.
Very interesting take on the matter. And what do you feel are the ideologies that are making these people so rabid?
So a lot of popular ideologies spreading at the moment are liberalism, as I mentioned before, socialism, but everything really started with the concept of romanticism. Romanticism was originally an art style, Caspar David Friedrich, William Blake, so on and so forth. And so basically, the art conveyed this message that really emphasized the individual and sort of abandoned the concept that we had of rationalism and just explored all possibilities of the mind. Many romantic artists focus on their imagination and appreciation of nature. The art conveyed this message that really emphasized the individual and sort of abandoned this concept that we had of rationalism and just explored all possibilities of the mind. Many romantic artists really focus on their imagination and appreciation of nature, and that's what really kickstarted these revolutionary ideas. As for socialism, it seems like a fairly new concept as it was brought to the light this year when Karl Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto, but it dates back to Thomas More's Utopia where he first expressed socialist beliefs. The focus of socialism is the prioritization of the collective good, unlike our current socialist structure where only the people on top benefit. This ideal socialist society would be a state-controlled production and distribution of goods to the benefit of everyone. Of course, an important aspect would be that communities would be smaller to make the process simpler.
But at the end of the day, what does she know? She's just a woman.